Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. The Rock did not advise Solo Sikoa to start his own bloodline, who sowed the seed instead. Ever since WWE Bad Blood, fans have been under the impression that Solo Sikoa and The Rock are working together. After all, the Street Champion himself admitted that the final boss return was part of the plan. However, theories of their partnership have reached a point where some are suggesting that it was Rocky who advised Sikoa to start his own bloodline. What if that is not the case? What if someone else had sown the seed long before Rock was in the picture? Well, taking a look back in time, there is a strong possibility of this being true. Yes, The Rock and Solo Sikoa are planning something, but it may have actually been Solo's own brother Jimmy Uso who gave him the idea of becoming the new tribal chief. All you have to do is look back to the June 2, 2023 episode of SmackDown, back when the Usos were beefing with the then tribal chief Roman Reigns. In the episode, G and Jimmy Uso crashed Roman Reigns' 1,000-day title celebration. Jimmy then proceeded to call Roman crazy and warned everyone, including Solo Sikoa, about the consequences of staying loyal to him. He told Sikoa that Reigns would use him, abuse him, manipulate him, betray him, kick him to the side, and put him in the dirt. So all things considered, it could have been these very words that drove Solo to become his own tribal chief. If this is true, the irony will not be lost on Jimmy or Solo, especially now considering they find themselves on opposite ends of the ring, with Jimmy acknowledging Roman as the original tribal chief. But at the end of the day, this is nothing more than speculation. Ever since he took over the bloodline, Solo Sikoa has ruled with an iron fist. Regardless of who has challenged him as tribal chief, he has come out on top. Granted, there have been a few bumps along the way, what with Roman Reigns' return at SummerSlam and Jimmy Uso's at Bad Blood, but he has had little to worry about. Even the combined forces of Roman Reigns, Jimmy, and G Uso were not enough to stop him at Bad Blood. But that could all be about to change. This week on SmackDown, the honorary use Sami Zayn is set to have a meeting with the OTC and the rest of the OG bloodline. Should he decide to ally with them, Solo will certainly have a problem on his hands. With that in mind, it will be interesting to see what Sikoa plans to do this Friday. Will he try to put an end to the meeting? Will he attempt to put the OG bloodline completely out of commission? We will just have to wait and see. The WWE Universe has always been captivated by family legacies, and few family legacies loom larger than that of the Anoa'i wrestling dynasty. Over the years, icons like The Rock, Roman Reigns, and the Usos have built a legacy based on grit, loyalty, and blood. With the Bloodline storyline at the heart of WWE, the powerful Samoan family has continued to shape WWE's biggest moments. One of the breakout stars of this saga is Solo Sikoa, the silent but deadly enforcer who has proven to be a formidable addition to the Bloodline. But recent rumblings indicate that someone may have advised Solo to break away and start his own faction. And surprisingly, it wasn't his famed cousin, The Rock, who sowed this seed. While fans might assume that The Rock, a major figure in WWE and a guiding light for younger members of the family, might be the natural instigator for such an idea, sources indicate that the encouragement to go solo came from someone else. So who really pushed Solo Sikoa to contemplate stepping out from Roman Reigns' shadow? Let's take a closer look at the possibilities, motivations, and potential outcomes of this game-changing suggestion. Since joining the main roster, Solo Sikoa has quickly established himself as one of WWE's most intimidating forces. Known for his intense demeanor, calculated strikes, and brutal Samoan spike finisher, Solo doesn't rely on words to make his presence known. He's the quiet storm of the bloodline, willing to do Roman Reigns' dirty work, often without question. But behind his steely exterior, there might be more ambition than fans have been led to believe. Being the enforcer has suited Solo up until now, but it's also a role that keeps him in the background, always playing second fiddle to Roman Reigns' charisma and authority. The idea of Solo leading his own faction, however, suggests a shift in perspective. a potential change that could signal growth for his character and take the family rivalry storyline to unprecedented levels. But who could have seen this potential within him, inspiring him to think beyond his role as an enforcer? With a name like The Rock in the family, fans might assume he'd naturally be the one to offer career advice to Solo. The Rock is a Hollywood megastar and WWE legend who commands respect wherever he goes, making him an ideal figure for younger family members to look up to. Yet, while The Rock undoubtedly holds significant influence within the Anoa'i family, reports suggest that he wasn't the one who planted the seed of independence in Solo's mind. In reality, The Rock has rarely involved himself directly in WWE storylines since becoming a Hollywood icon. Although he's made a few cameo appearances here and there, his focus has largely been outside of wrestling. It's also likely that The Rock respects Roman Reigns' position as the tribal chief, and he may be wary of causing a family rift. So if it wasn't The Rock, then who could have nudged Solo toward breaking away? Paul Heyman is perhaps the most likely candidate for planting the idea in Solo's head. As Roman Reigns' special counsel, Heyman has been the brains behind the Bloodline schemes, a puppet master whose loyalty is as malleable as his words are sharp. Over the years, Heyman has cultivated a reputation for seeing potential in wrestlers and guiding them to greatness. Heyman has always been a master at creating divisiveness, and he might see value in fostering tension within the Bloodline to keep things interesting. If Heyman suggested to Solo that he has the strength and intimidation to lead his own faction, it would make perfect sense. Heyman thrives on power dynamics and always seeks to align himself with the strongest player. By subtly encouraging Solo to think about stepping out on his own, Heyman might be hedging his bets, ensuring he has a potential successor to Roman Reigns lined up should the tribal chief's reign come to an end. Heyman's motives, however, are rarely altruistic. If he's encouraging Solo to think of himself as a potential leader, it's not necessarily because he believes in Solo's innate leadership qualities. Rather, Heyman might see Solo as the perfect pawn in a long game, a means to destabilize Roman's control and give Heyman more leverage over the Bloodline's direction. Solo Sikoa's father, WWE Hall of Famer Rikishi, is another potential influencer who could have advised his son to seek independence. Rikishi knows the business of WWE better than almost anyone, having seen his sons rise to stardom as the Usos and now watching his youngest son, Solo, dominate as an enforcer. Rikishi has always been supportive of his children's wrestling careers, and he might be the voice behind the scenes encouraging Solo to carve his own path. As a father, Rikishi may feel that Solo has the potential to be more than a background figure in Roman's empire. In Rikishi's eyes, Solo is not just an enforcer. He's his own man with his own set of skills. Rikishi might see the value in having Solo establish his own identity in WWE, away from the looming shadow of Roman Reigns. If Rikishi has indeed advised his son to consider starting his own faction, it could add a compelling layer of family drama to the Bloodline storyline, as Roman would have to contend with the fact that one of his closest allies was encouraged to turn away by their own blood. One of the most intriguing possibilities is that Solo's own brother, Jey Uso, could have sowed the seeds of dissent. Jey has had one of the most complex arcs in the Bloodline story, beginning as Roman's reluctant enforcer before ultimately breaking away due to the emotional and psychological toll of Roman's dominance. Jey knows firsthand what it's like to be under Roman's thumb, and he may not want the same fate for Solo. It's possible that Jey has been quietly talking to Solo, encouraging him to think about life outside of Roman's rule. Jey's departure from the Bloodline wasn't just an act of rebellion, it was a stand for his own independence and dignity. By advising Solo to start his own faction, Jey could be seeking a way to weaken Roman's power from within, hoping his younger brother won't make the same sacrifices he did. This twist would be particularly poignant for fans, as it would show that Jey's influence lingers even after he left the Bloodline. It would also set the stage for an eventual confrontation between the brothers, one where Jey and Solo might stand united against Roman, flipping the Bloodline dynamic on its head. If Solo Sikoa were to take the leap and start his own faction, it would add a thrilling dimension to the Bloodline saga. Solo's faction could challenge Roman's authority directly, creating a storyline that pits family against family in a way that WWE hasn't seen since the days of faction rivalries like DX and the Nation of Domination. Solo's faction could bring in fresh faces, perhaps even drawing from the Anoa'i family's younger generation or other WWE superstars who feel they've been sidelined by Roman's regime. This new Bloodline faction could take on Roman's crew in a series of high-stakes matches, culminating in a Survivor Series or WrestleMania showdown that would be nothing short of epic. While we may never know the full truth of who encouraged Solo Sikoa to think about independence, the possibilities are endlessly intriguing. Whether it was Paul Heyman's manipulation, Rikishi's fatherly guidance, or Jay's plea for freedom, each scenario offers its own compelling motivation and raises the stakes for WWE's Bloodline storyline. Solo stepping out on his own would signal a seismic shift in WWE, challenging Roman Reigns' dominance and setting up new battles for power within the family. As Survivor Series approaches, fans will be watching to see if Solo's ambition takes center stage, potentially altering the Bloodline legacy in WWE forever.